values, and then you divide by how many there are. So add up those 4 values, you get a total of 16, and then you divide it by 4, because there's 4 cities, and you get a total or a mean of 4 degrees Celsius. Now it says here, David identifies one of the values as an outlier, okay? Write down the value of the outlier. Now the outlier, for those of you who don't know what that word means odd one out. What number doesn't fit? Now, lots of you naturally have gone for this one, -3, because all the other ones are positive. However, the outlier is 14 for Las Vegas. The reason being, if we think of temperature, okay, in terms of hot, cold, mild, okay, 2 degrees is quite cold. Tokyo, -3, cold. Barcelona, 3 degrees, cold, but 14 degrees is quite mild. So you've got here 3 temperatures that are cold, and then you've got one temperature here, the 14, that's actually quite mild. So that's the one that doesn't fit in with the rest. Okay, so Vegas is the outlier there, number 14. So make sure you try and think of some of those numbers in terms of real life logic, as best as you can. Okay, the term-to-term rule for a sequence is multiply by 2 and subtract 8. The first term of the sequence is 5. What are the next 3 terms of this sequence? So what we're going to do, we're going to work through it step by step. So we're going to take the first term, so 5. I'm going to times it by 2, which gives me 10, and then take away 8. That's going to give me my first number is 2. Okay? I'm then going to change the colour of my pen, so this just helps me strategize what I'm doing. So I'm going to do 2 times 2, which is 4. Take away 10 is going to give me minus. I'm going to use a number line here just to show, because I know sometimes students don't believe me. I'm going to do 4 take away 10. So there's 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5, minus 6. Okay, so we're starting on 4. 4, we're taking away 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right at the end, minus 6. So 4 take away 10 is minus 6. And then the final thing we're going to do, we'll change to a nice shade of green. Here we go. We're going to do minus 6 times it by 2, which gives me minus 12. I'm going to take away 10. So we're going to go minus 12. We're going to get further away from 0. We're going to end on minus 22. So they're my terms. So 2, minus 6, minus 22. So you've got to be careful with those negative numbers. The negative numbers can catch us out, because lots of us, before minus 10, we get an answer of minus 4. But if we draw a number line, we can see it goes down to minus 6. Okay? So number lines, I know they might seem a bit, childish and something you might do when you're younger, okay? But you have to go as low as you can go. Right, someone's just knocked on my door and I don't know who it is. So what I'm going to do, get you to do question 6 as I go and answer the door, okay? So go to question 6 for me and give that a go. I apologize for that, but I don't know who it is, so I'm going to go and double check. I'll be back in a moment, guys, okay? Apologies, guys, there. I'm back. But yeah, I did say to go on to question 6 whilst I was gone, so I'm going to let you have a go at that now. So question 6, for those of you watching on YouTube, is this question, so feel free to give it a go yourself. So it's a table where you have to fill in the blanks and then create a percentage at the end of it. So use the numbers that you've got to help you work out the missing values. It's a bit like a problem-solving exercise. A little bit of maths involved, but mainly it's your ability to problem solve. So work through those. Try and get numbers in the right place, because each one of those numbers might be worth a mark, you see. So getting 1 or 2 in the wrong place could cost you. So answer it as neatly as you can. to complete that table with the missing values, and then to go one further than that, we need to work out as a percentage the number of away goals that were scored in the first half. So it's a challenge, but the table directly links to question B. So you can't do question B without completing that table first, okay? So the table is on Desmos, but it's also on the screen, so it depends on how you wish to work. I'm entirely, I'm easy, as long as you're getting that work done. Anyone who's joining late, I put a link to Desmos in the chat, so it's there visible, so you can use that. Okay. Right, guys, bring your attention back to the PowerPoint. Now, I know I left you, I left you guys hanging, didn't I? Because the door was knocked. So we're going to go back to question 3, and then we'll move up to question 6, okay? So here we have a question here. It says, Hardip is doing the calculation shown below. 14.8 plus 52.3 divided by 15. By rounding each figure to the one significant figure, finds an estimate to his calculation. So with a question like this, when it says round each figure, you kind of have to do as it says, okay? And when we round each figure to one significant figure, essentially we're looking at the first number. So in this case, number 1, number 5, and the number 2, the number 1 here. And we're looking what the number next to it will do to it, okay? What impact it will have. So let me change my pen to a red pen just so it's nice and clear. So number 1 here, the 4 won't round it up, it's going to keep it the same. So that number becomes 10.0, or to make our lives easier, just 10. Okay. 52, well, the 2 keeps the 5 the same. So it becomes 50.0, or to make our lives easier, just 50. Okay. We're dividing that by this number here, 15, aren't we? I'm glad you mentioned that, Lucy. Lucy said, I thought it was decimal place. So significant figures, let's take this for example. Let's take the number 210.53. Your first decimal place, if it said decimal place, it'll be asking you about these numbers here after the decimal point. But it says here significant figure, and significant figures start right at the start. So you've got, let me try and change the colour of my pen so it stands out a little bit for you guys. You've got your first significant figure there, your second significant figure. Oh, I butchered that. First significant figure, second significant figure, third significant figure, fourth significant figure. Okay. Now let's have a look. Let me just quickly get rid of that working out just at the bottom to give me some space. Let's look at 15. What is the 5 going to do to the 1? For the number 15, what's the 5 going to do to the 1? We're looking at this number 15 here. What we're going to round it to? 2. It's going to bump it up to a 2. Excellent. Okay. And then the rest of the number gets set to 0. So it becomes 20. So when we estimate, which is a key word here, we're making the numbers a lot nicer. Not just a little bit nicer, a lot nicer, okay? 10 add 50 is 60. Divided it by 20, so they both end in 0, so I'm going to get rid of those zeros. We've got 6 divided by 2, which gives me an answer of 3. So my estimated answer for hard dip is 3. I've made those numbers a lot nicer, and it's given me a nice, easy final number. And that is why we estimate, okay? We estimate because sometimes it might be quite hard to do the exact calculation in our head. But by doing it with nicer numbers, which we created here, the numbers become a lot easier to use. Now, one of the other reasons why I'm doing this sort of lesson tonight is to see where we're at with certain topics. So next week, I might introduce estimation into our revision just to reinforce some of those key points, okay? So you guys all have that skill and the ability. It's just about knowing when and how to apply it, okay? The next one, percentages. Now, typically, this is answered very well amongst our students. In order to work out percentages, we need to create like building blocks. So we've got 10% block, which essentially involves dividing the number by 10, which removes the zeros. That gives us 32. And then we've got, let's create our 5% block. We're going to need a 5%, aren't we? Because it's 45. 5% is going to be half of our 10% value. So half of 32 is 16. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take that 10%, I'm going to times it by 4. Because if I times it by 4, that's going to tell me what 40% is. So 32 times by 4. Well, double it, it gives me 64. Double it again, it gives me 128. So there's my 40%. Now what I'm going to do is add my 5%, which we said earlier was 16, didn't we? So I'm going to add these values together. 8 add 6 is 14. Carry the 1. 2 add 1 is 4. And then finally 1 at the end. So my final answer is 144. Now, I genuinely believe that is a 3-mark question on the screen right there, because you've got to do a few different things, 3 different mathematical skills. So I think the examiner might be quite generous there to give you 3 marks. So if you're getting those percentage questions right, excellent. If you're not too sure, add that to your list of revision topics, because it's worth generous marks for skills that I think you're all capable of achieving. Now, if I remember correctly, question 5 is what Harvey mentioned he was struggling with. So a spinet is split into 3 sides in the ratio x to y to z, and then that's in the ratio 3, 4, and 2. Okay, what is the probability of the spinet landing on y? So what we need to do when we're dealing with probability and ratio, we need to add up all the parts together. So we do 3, add 4, add 2. We're going to add those parts up together. 3 add 4 add 2 is 9. So we've got 9 possible outcomes, or 9 possible outcomes essentially, okay? Now, we need to focus carefully on the letter Y. So it says X, Y, Z. So X, Y, Z. The Y is the middle number, isn't it? It's here, it's the 4. So you've got a 4 in 9 chance of rolling or hitting the Y, essentially. Sounds a bit weird, that doesn't it? But 4 in 9. Kind of a bizarre question. I made that one up a bit. I tried to catch people out, and I've probably caught myself out. But if you got 4 over 9, excellent stuff there, because you've added all the parts of the ratio and you've identified the crucial bit, which is the number 4 for the letter Y. Now, this was the bit which we kind of finished on. So, problem solving. Here we go. I know that I've got enough information here to work out those 4 missing numbers, okay? So let's start with the first half. Well, in total, there's 24 first half goals scored. 16 of them were at home. 24, take away 16 is 8. So there's 8 away first half goals. Now, 8 at 12, that's a nice set of numbers I'm going to use. So 8 at 12 is 20. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is use 16 and 40. So overall, or in total, 40 home goals were scored. 16 of them were at home. So that means we're in the first half, sorry. That means 24 were in the second half. And then we've got these 2 values here. 24 add 12 is 36. Now, do what's quite good is if we add up these 2 numbers, 24 and 36, and we add 40 and 20, we actually get the same number. We actually get 60. So that means all my numbers are pretty spot on. The totals give the same total, if that makes sense. That's a good check sometimes to run, just to make sure you're in the right place. So 60 there, 60 there. But yeah, must mean those numbers are looking pretty good. Now, here we go. This is the juicy part of the question. What percentage of the away goals were scored in the first half? So let me just erase a few of these things just to make it nice and clear. Let's highlight all of the away goals. So all of the away goals are here. So how many away goals were scored in total? 20. So I'm going to write it as a fraction first. So it's going to be out of 20. How many of them were scored in the first half? First half. So that's 8, isn't it? You can see the number 8 there. First half, 8. Yeah. So 8 out of 20. Now, it wants it as a percentage. Now, if you've had your online lesson this week, or you've had a lesson this week, you might know already how to do this. Now, what I've been teaching my students is write it as a fraction over 100. So if you put it as a fraction over 100, the top number, no matter what, will be a percentage you can use. So the question I have, I'm going to ask you guys now, I know I've been rabbiting on a little bit, is how do I get from 20 up to 100? What do I multiply it by? This links to today's lesson if you've had me. Excellent, Andrew. Times it by 5. And whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So 8 times 5 gives me 40. Okay? Now, what did I say? If it's written as a fraction over 100, the top number can become your instant percentage. So my percentage is 40%. So 40% of this team's goals were scored in the first half. Okay? So 40% of their away goals were scored in the first half. That might only be worth 1 or 2 marks. But it's definitely 1 or 2 marks that I want us as a cohort, as a receive team, that I want us to be getting, okay? So I'm going to be putting questions like that into my starter next week, asking you to convert amounts and into fractions and then into percentages. So just one quick recap here, just so we're all on the same wavelength. Write it as a fraction. So get your numbers, write it as a fraction, then convert it into one that is out of 100. Once you've got that, the top number becomes your percentage and you're done. The hard work is finito. So that's me talking for a little bit now. I want you guys to do question 7, 8, 9, and then up to 10. So 7, 8, 9, 10, that's 4 questions. And we need to work through those, okay? Now, take your time. I'm going to give you lots of time here because these ones do make you think. And I want to see what you guys can do without being rushed or pressured, okay? So 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now, if you're watching on YouTube retrospectively, I will flick through the questions now, and then you can pause them, give them a go, fast forward to the bit where I'm going through the answers, okay? So question 7, pause it, give it a go. Question 8, pause it, give it a go. Question 9, pause it, give it a go. Question 10A, and then finally question 10B. If you're watching on YouTube, go back, make sure you can pause it on those moments, and then you can answer the questions and go through the questions and answers with us. Hey guys, just me checking in again, letting you know that I've not abandoned you all. Keep working through those questions on Desmos. I can see half of you are on the final split, on the final question. Really good variety in these questions. Now, some of you may be like, Sam, I hate you for doing this to me on a Wednesday night, but I'm just trying to give you a heads up as to what you could expect in the near future. And hopefully seeing it now and getting a bit of tuition around it, preparing for the summer, saying the summer as if it's not here, preparing you for next week, might mean that next time on Friday, if the question comes up that's similar, you've got confidence and you've got an idea of how to tackle it, okay? But I am going to go through questions 7 to 10 in about 2 minutes. So try and finish them off if you can, and then we'll review them together and I'll go through them as how I would answer them. Hopefully it helps. Okay, team, let's have a look at these questions then. So I do apologize if you haven't managed to finish all of them. You can mute me, you can tell me to shut up. That's fine. You can watch the recording afterwards for the answers. But I am going to go through these questions now because we've got about 10 minutes left. And I think if I get through the next 4 questions in those 10 minutes, it then sets us up nicely for next week where we can do questions 11 through to 16 and then a bit of a review of some of the key topics, okay? So question 7. A solid piece of metal has a mass of 4 kilograms and a volume of 50 centimeters cubed. Calculate the density of the piece of metal. Give your answer in grams per centimeter cubed. So this bit's crucial here. It wants our answer in grams. So really what we need to do is convert that 4 kilograms into grams pretty immediately. Get it done early and then it's done and dusted, isn't it? So guys, in the chat, 4 kilograms, what is that in grams? 4 kilograms in grams, what are we thinking? Four kg in terms of grams, what are we thinking? $4,000. Josh, new one, excellent. 4,000. So straight away, that's a really So here's a good point here, right? What I'm going to do, kilo means 1,000. Okay. So to convert something from kilograms to grams, we're going to times it by 1,000. We need a lot more. Basically, kilos is like a small number because it's heavy. But when you're dealing with smaller amounts, such as grams, you need lots more of them. So you need more. So you times to get that bigger number. So we've got 4,000 grams. Now, the next thing I want to get in point in our direction towards using is the density mass volume. I've really drawn that badly. Let's do it again. So it's a triangle. The density mass volume triangle, DMV. Now, when we draw the triangle like so, we need to get the letters in the right place. Density, mass, volume. David marries Victoria. And then we think, what do we need? Calculate the density. So I need to use the density, or I need to calculate density. So I'm left with mass divided by volume. Mass divided by volume. So the mass is 4,000 grams. The volume, where is it? Is there, it's 50. Remember, this is non-calculator, so let's try not to use a calculator here. Get rid of a 0, 0, 0. So we're left with 400 divided by 5. So 400 divided by 5. Here we go, Sam. 5s into 4 go 0. Carry the 4 over. 5s into 40 go 8. And then 0. Because 5s into 0 goes 0. So we're left with 80 grams per centimetre cubed. Now, that's an example of me taking a question and adding a bit of spice to it, okay? Because you've got to do that conversion right at the start. And 4,000 divided by 50 isn't that easy to do. So make sure you have a strategy for that, whether it be cancel off the zeros off the side to make those numbers slightly smaller, but then also having the bus stop method up your sleeve. You see, I used the bus stop method there. It allowed me to get to the answer in a smooth way without me causing too much of a sweat. Okay, but yeah, conversions. 1,000 grams in a kilogram, so it's 4,000 grams for 4 kilograms. Then bring in the triangle, mass divided by volume, and then put those numbers into that formula and get yourself an answer. Question 8. Now this one's like a problem-solving question again. Now it says here, shape A and B have the same perimeter. Calculate the value of x. So what we need to do really, work out the perimeter of one of them. Now shape B has the most information about it because that's got an unknown side. But here we know it's an isosceles triangle. So if that side's 10 centimeters, then this side is also 10 centimeters. How do you work out the perimeter, guys? You add up all the sides. We're going to do 10, add 10, add 6. Okay, so 10, add 10, add 6. That's going to give me 26 centimeters. That there would give you 1 mark. If you've got 26 written down, 1 mark, okay? So I know that this shape here, A, all the sides add up to 26 centimeters. Now, it's a parallelogram. For those of you that aren't aware, parallelogram means that these sides are parallel, they will never cross. And it means these sides are parallel and they will never cross, but they're also the same. So if the top is 8, the bottom is 8 centimeters as well. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to get rid of this side and this side because I know what those values are. So if I do 8 add 8, that gives me 16. So if I do 26 and I take away those two sides, 16, I'm left with 10 centimeters. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that this side here, I'm going to highlight it. It means that this side here and this side here both add to 10. Now, they're both the same in terms of length. So what should I do with that number 10? What do I have to do to that 10 centimeters? I want to know what one length is. Excellent. Divide by 2. I want to half it. Yeah? Brilliant, guys. Half it. And that's going to give me 5 centimeters. Now, that is a typical, I hate to say this, that's a typical like AQA question where it's a perimeter question, but they could just make it a little bit more complicated by chucking in 2 different shapes and a bit of problem solving in there. Now, what I'm happy about is the fact that I've taken these questions from a predicted paper. So you have another chance at these in class on Friday. Oh, I'm speaking directly to some of my students there, but you have a chance at doing this again in class to see if you've learned from those questions, okay? Right, couple more minutes left, so stick with me, guys. I know you're doing well because I can see you in the chat, but let's push through to the end. Are you ready? Complete the table below to create coordinates for the line y equals 3x minus 1 for the x values minus 2 to 3. Now, if you're my students, you know that we should start at this end of the table. Why? Because that's where the positive numbers are. That's where the nice numbers are. So we're going to do 3x minus 1. So 3 times 3, and then we're going to take away 1. So 3 times 3 is 9. Take away 1 is 8. Okay? We're going to move on. Instead of it being x, now I'm going to put the number 2 in. So 3 times 2 is 6. Take away 1 is 5. Next one. 3 times 1 is 3. Yeah, 3 times 1 is 3. Take away 1 is 2. Can you guys see a pattern emerge there? What are these numbers going down in? 8, 5, 2. What are they going down in? 3s. So all I've got to do now is just keep taking away 3, each one down. I don't even have to look at these numbers here. So it's going to be minus 1, minus 4, minus 7. I've used the positive numbers to allow me to create a pattern. I've spotted the pattern and then I've continued the pattern along. So I'm not even looking at substituting negative numbers in. Don't need to. And if you really want to, if you're confident with substitution, go ahead. put those negative numbers in just to reinforce that. But for me personally, I just spot the pattern and I continue it, and then I plot the points and I get the marks. That's my strategy. Okay. So this is the final question. Question 10 that I want you guys to look at with me today. So it says here, taxi company uses the following information to charge customers. Pickup fee, £5, distance travelled, 50p per mile. Work out the total cost of the 4 jobs. So let's have a look. Each one of these jobs requires a pickup fee. So that's £5 for a pickup here, £5 for a pickup there, and here, and finally here. So just for pickup fees alone, it's £20 that they're going to be costed. I'm going to put £20 in there just to remember that. Now that's done, I've looked at pickup fees. I'm going to focus on the distance travel, and it's 50p per mile. So each one of these, that's miles. So I'm going to times that by 50p. And I'm going to do 8 times 50p, and 3 times 50p, and 10 times 50p. Okay? Well, 5 times 50p is £2.50. 8 times 50p is £4. 3 times 50p is £1.50. And then finally, 10 times 50p is £5. So I've got there all the costs for the distance travelled. So £2.50, £4, £1.50, £5. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly add those values up. Okay. So £2.50 add £4.50 is £6.50. Then £6.50 add £1.50 is £8. And then £8 add £5 is £13. So distance cost, I'm going to put distance cost is £13. Now, if we add up all of those good jobs then, because we want the total cost, we're going to get £33. Now, that's one way in which you can do it. Some of you may have worked out the total for that, then the total for that, then the total for that, and then the total for that, and then added them together. That's absolutely fine. I've just done it slightly differently. But if you've got £33, then you've arrived at the right answer, and it doesn't really matter how you've done it, as long as you've not cheated, okay? That's bad. And then the last question that we're going to look at today, did you guys get a chance to do this one? Let me scroll down. This was tricky. I'm not going to lie, this was a tricky one. So it says there, another more luxurious taxi company uses the following information to charge customers. Pickup fee, £6. Distance travelled, £1.50 per mile. Write a formula for the total cost for a job that lasts 8 miles. So, see, the total cost equals, well, the pickup fee, no matter what, is £6. So it's going to be £6 plus the cost per mile, okay? Which was £1.50. And then there's 8 lots of that. So it's going to be £1.50 times by 8. That would be a total cost, wouldn't it? 6 plus £1.50 times 8, or 6 plus 8 times £1.50, something along those lines. Okay. I worded that question quite badly, but if you've got the gist of that, hopefully you've got an idea of how it should look. Okay. I think I've copied that badly when I've interpreted it myself, but hopefully you understand what I was trying to get at there. Okay. Now, it's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm going to save question 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 for next week. Okay. Now, you will come across some of these in your lessons this week or next week, depending on who your teacher is. But the good thing is you will see these questions once and twice, which means you could learn from it the first time, and then the second time round, you should hopefully have success with it. Okay. So treat the first time as a play, have a practice, try and get the right answer. If you don't, listen to your teacher, see if they've got a better method to help you, and then you can go and push on from there. Okay. Well, guys, honestly, good effort today, because I know it was a bit messy at the start, but overall we've done really well. There's really, like, I'm not just saying this, genuinely really encouraging signs on Desmos with your answers, and I'm pretty confident you guys are giving me some confidence tonight. Okay. So we'll call it a session there. Enjoy the rest of your evening. The sun, as you can see on my face, is still shining. So go out and get some sun, have some fresh air, and I'll see some of you guys on Friday or tomorrow, and then I might see some of you next week. Okay. All the best. Peace out.